Hello everybody, welcome back to the Nocturnal Gaming Network. My name is Xeriua, and today we are playing Spaceflight Simulator. And today we are going to be finishing the docking area of our space station. So we'll get right into it. So let's talk about what exactly we want here. First, we need something. We're going to have like a hallway here, and it's going to allow us to be far enough away from the station that we can dock the really big craft with it. So I'm going to go with 5. And then we're going to go to our big parts, and we're going to put like a docking nub on the end of it. I'm going to call it a docking nub because I can. And we're going to do something just like this right here. Now, time for the docking ports. Let's go to utility. We need to grab a probe while we're right here, and basically this end is going to be what connects into the station itself. And then we're going to put some large ports on this. I sort of want to put another set of the 6, but I don't find myself using the 6 block docking ports like hardly at all. So, I don't think there's really any need for them. So we're just going to put this here, and this is going to be our main payload here. So we'll bring some of these. Okay, and we need a broadsword, and we're going to put this here. And basically what we're going to do is put some nice little RCS thrusters on this. Now, this rocket is going to be very unstable because there's no RCS thrusters on, the main center of mass here. They're all off to one side, so we need to be aware of that. It shouldn't cause us too much trouble at this point, but we just want to know it's going to happen, because if we don't acknowledge it and don't do our thing to prevent it from causing problems, we're going to have a hard time docking probably. So there we go, continue with our little fairing here. Now this rocket's going to be a little bit heavy. The final mass is almost 170 tons. It's 168 by the time we're done, I think. 67.6. So I mean that is sort of heavy. Do we want to put some RCS thrusters on this thing? I kind of do, but I don't at the same time. I think I'm going to. I actually think I'm going to change this up a little bit. Not that. I'm going to put some RCS thrusters on it, and that way it's going to be a little better balanced here, because we'll put those there, and then we'll take those, not that, but this away. There we go. So now that's sort of balanced here. What we're going to do is we're going to put a nice second stage on it, something like this, and then we are going to go ahead and do a similar setup that we've used in the past. It's a tried and true rocket here, except this time it's going to be a little bit bigger than normal, because we have, if we're here, we're at 372, which when we put the 3 Hawks on this, we're actually at a 0.92 thrust to weight ratio. So this thing would never, and I mean never, actually be able to get us off the planet. So we need some more thrust. And to do that, we're just going to add 2 more Hawk engines with the same amount of fuel on it. That brings us to 115, which that's going to be, it's going to be sort of low, right? This is probably the highest thrust to weight, thrust to weight ratio that we've had in any one of our rockets before. So we're going to do it. And we're just gonna make it very, very carefully, right? Oh, I want to get myself a thumbnail. Because I always forget my thumbnail. I mean, look at this thing. Look how big the payload is when you compare it to the rocket itself, right? Something like this. That looks like a nice thumbnail, right? Alright, so now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rockets on. We're actually just going to go to the map real quick and set our target. Here it is. Set as target. There we go. And now we are basically ready to go. So, boom, here we are. We are launching ever so slowly. It's really taken a while. We're going to follow this thing, and we're actually going to go up on a fairly steep trajectory here. We want to make sure that we can make it out of the atmosphere here, because we're going to need to use the final stage here, and then some of the fuel in the actual docking module to get ourselves into space here. So we're going to start rolling over. Basically, we're going to do a gravity turn. We're just going to be slightly behind what we normally would be, because we want to gain height here, specifically height. Because if we don't, we're not actually going to make it with this. We need to get our apoaps nice and far ahead of ourselves. Something like this right here. And then basically, once we get our angle set, something like this, we're just going to hold this angle and let it go. And we're actually almost out of fuel here already, but that's okay. Something like this, because see how our apoaps is raising? We're going to have no problem with that second module now that we're up in the high atmosphere. The second stage actually breaking us out of the atmosphere. So here we go prograde. What we're going to do is, oh dear, this is loud in my headset. Bam. Break that, hit that, hit that. Alright, and now we're just going to keep boosting here. We don't want to stop. We want to keep going, because we need to keep the apoaps right ahead of us. Because if we don't keep it ahead of us, we're going to sneak up on it, and we're, going to basically pass over it. And that's not a good thing in this case. So, here we go. I'm just going to sort of wait right here. We're almost out of fuel. I'm actually going to pop the fairing, so I'm going to stop, pop the fairing, get going. That way there's no chance that the fairing is in a very, very low, unstable orbit, and we have to, wait a million years for it to deorbit itself again. Yeah, that wasn't fun last time, but that's alright. So, here we are. What we're going to do is we're going to refuel. So we're going to click this module and then click this module, and the docking arm is going to continuously feed fuel back into the main rocket here. Alright, good. And now we just wait. And this is going to take a little while. We need about 1,600 meters per second to actually make ourselves, hit orbit. So we can pretty much just wait right here. And since we're slightly, quite radial out in this case, eventually when we get our speed up a little more, we should start shoving the apoaps back away from us. But that's going to be a little bit. I think it's going to be about when we get to 1,300 meters per second, something like that. You'll see it when we get there. It is slowing down, I think. Maybe. But we might actually end up passing it, too. Because this rocket is so heavy. Because it does look like we're going to pass it, doesn't it? That's fine either way. We've got enough fuel here to actually make it into orbit. We are going to need to turn radial in slightly, because if we don't, we're not going to be directing our fuel in the right direction. We're not going to be accelerating ourselves, around the planet. We're going to be continuing to accelerate outwards, which isn't ever going to get us into orbit here. Here we go. We're starting to actually pick up. Let's go radial in until we're actually on trajectory, now that we've actually passed our apoaps, because it's not worth trying to shove the apoaps back out in front of us. So we're just going to do this, and this will eventually speed us up. We only have about 200 more meters per second to go until we make it into orbit. So that's okay. 150 now. We got this. We're basically a quarter of the way around the planet at this point, but that's all right. What's going on here? 1, 2. Okay, so those are touching down. Good. I was worried for a second that one of them landed without being completely destroyed. We couldn't have that. All right, there we are. About 100 more meters per second to go. And we're at 40 kilometers up, so even though we are returning towards the planet, we should make it in time. Something like this, yeah. See, we're just about to break out through the other side. And this is why you don't want to pass your apoaps if you can help it. There we go. Now the apoaps is going to flow around the planet. It's going to get back out in front of us on the opposite side, so like over here. Alright. And we're good. We're perfectly good. We can just flip ourselves around and go prograde now. And that is going to raise our apoapsis up, although it is raising slowly because we are a quite heavy module here. We're going to raise it directly up to 250 kilometers like we normally would, so we can, make a connection with the space station. We can actually go and turn our RCS thrusters on too. That way we can use them to add just a little bit more thrust to this. Since we are basically on the right quadrant of the planet, we can just head downwards, and that will accelerate us that much more. Alright. This rocket was so heavy, we shouldn't have been able to do this. But we did. Come on. There it is, 250. Okay, so now we will preemptively rotate ourselves around 180 degrees. Something right about here. A little too far. Can go backwards. There we go. Alright, so now, when we get to the other side of the planet, to right about here, come on, stop. We're going to raise our periaps now. And we want to rotate ourselves in ever so slightly here. Ooh. Actually, we seem to have a nice close encounter with the space station. So let's see how close we actually are here. 235 meters. Let's raise that a little bit, because I see ourselves easily smashing into this thing. How about 500 meters? Let's try that. All right, and let's go around, and I think we're only going to have to go around twice. Right here, and we should have, there's the nice close approach. We're going to be ever so slightly ahead of it, I guess. Can I see it yet? No, I can't. Whereas it is behind us, okay. But it's going to catch up to us really fast. Okay, here we are. Can I see it? Oh, I can actually see it. There it is. So let's turn our thrusters on and let's start raising our periapsis here. And we want to just be careful that this thing doesn't smack into us. Where is it? There it is. It looks like it's going to pass beside us. I can tell you this wouldn't be the first time that I have managed to get such a close encounter with a space station that it's actually smashed right into me. So we're going to go and we're going to boost just like this, just to lower our apoapsis. There we are, just like that. Where's the station? The station's right there. Still doesn't look like it's going to smash into us, so we'll lower it just a little tiny bit more, and then we can use our main thruster here to boost ourselves even more. Alright. Ooh, this looks like it could hit us now. That is going to hit us. How did I manage to do this where the thing's going to hit us? That's not even fun. Oh, it's going away behind us now. So we'll use our RCS thrusters to, there we are, to get going back in the correct direction. There we go. Okay, so what are we doing now? 250 by 239.4. So we are close to actually making contact with this thing. We want to be going slightly to the right just to make sure that we don't smack into it. Yeah, okay. So we can go back towards the left a little bit. Okay, and we can begin to use our RCS thrusters to slow our relative speed down. Or technically increase our relative speed to make it so we don't go past it. Space travel's complicated, guys. You just gotta, work in relative. I find relative is easier. So if you're saying, okay, I need to go up in relation to the station, it's a lot easier than saying, all right, I need to raise my speed to match the stations. And here we are. We just need to wait a little tiny bit here, and we can begin actually docking here. Our angle is about correct too, which is good. I wasn't expecting to actually get my angle so close to what I actually needed it to be. Uh-oh. We're going around the Earth, and that's causing us to have to change our direction of travel ever so slightly, again relative to the station. There we go. Fix our angle. And right about there should do it. Oh, so close. There we are. Alright, so now we have 53% fuel in this big monstrous piece. That's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to drain most of the fuel out of this little module and throw it back into this docking arm. There we go. We're going to leave us like 6% fuel. 5% is probably good, but we're going to go with 6 just because, and then we can end up rotating ourselves like something like this, and boom. Make sure that we definitely make contact with the planet. Now we can switch to the station. Okay, so what we're going to do really quick is grab this new module, and we're going to use its very abundant fuel tanks to make sure the rest of the station is actually refilled. And then this should be the only tank that has any fuel missing from it. Okay. There's actually a surprising amount of... Oops, I turned the RCS thrusters on. Stop. There's actually a surprising amount of fuel in these little modules here. There we go. I don't know. It's these ones with 5. I feel like they should have less fuel than they actually do. But whatever. Boom, there it is. Alright, we have 1 or 2 more? I think we have this one. Yes, we have this one. And then we just have the center point right there. And once we're done here, that's going to bring us down to like 25% fuel in this. Shoosh. But that's okay. One of the next things I'm working on is a refueling vessel that will be able to come up to the station, dock with it, and then just unload a ridiculous amount of fuel back to the station. So we'll see that in the future. Oh, 20% fuel. That's okay. But the rest of the station is refueled, so we're all ready to go. And I think the next time when we return, we're going to start working on the science and living portion of this station. So thank you all so much for watching. My name's Xeriua, and this is the Nocturnal Gaming Network bringing you Spaceflight Simulator. Have yourselves a wonderful night, everybody.